Sergeant Kara Jensen steadied her breathing as the ground beneath her feet rumbled ominously, the acrid fumes of Rylax's swamps ascending in thick, suffocating plumes around her. Just ahead, the shadowy figure of Overseer Torin, her Vrell challenger, hovered above the toxic mist, his voice echoing through the comm with piercing clarity. "Is this your limit, Sergeant Jensen? Surely, humanity can offer more than mere surrender to the inevitable," Torin taunted, his tone infused with disdain. Gripping her makeshift staff, Kara's eyes narrowed through the swirling vapors. "We're just getting started," she retorted, her voice a defiant murmur against the raging winds. "Watch closely, because you're about to witness what humans are truly capable of." Sergeant Kara Jensen wiped the sweat from her brow as she surveyed the arid expanse of Rylax's vast desert. Her team, a group of seasoned Earth Special Forces, never anticipated finding themselves center stage in a galactic spectacle designed to humiliate them. The scorching sun bore down mercilessly, a relentless reminder of the brutal days to come. "All right, team, listen up," Kara called out, her voice slicing through the oppressive air. "Remember, this isn't just about survival. It's about proving to the Vrell and every other watching species that humans are more formidable than they anticipate." Her team circled around her, their faces a blend of determination and anxiety. Each member was equipped with standard survival gear, though nothing could truly be deemed standard on Rylax, where the environment itself was an adversary. Overseer Torin's voice suddenly crackled through the comm unit, his tone laced with amusement and condescension. "Sergeant Jensen, does your species genuinely believe you can endure the trials concocted by the Vrell, or are you merely hoping to amuse us with your primitive resilience?" Kara pressed the comm button, her expression steely. "Overseer Torin, we're not here for your amusement. We're here to compete under the exact conditions you've established. Let's limit the commentary and maintain the fairness of the competition." Laughter echoed through the channel before Torin severed the transmission, leaving a hiss of static that mimicked the simmering heat of the desert. "Stay sharp and stick to the plan," Kara continued, addressing her team. "Use the dunes as shields from the wind and conserve your water." We moved to the first waypoint by sundown. The team began their march, their boots sinking into the soft, heated sand with each step. Kara led from the forefront, her eyes sweeping the horizon and the scattered rocky outcrops for any sign of the mechanical traps for which the Vrell were notorious. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the desert, the temperature plummeted drastically. The team huddled close, activating the thermal layers of their suits to counter the sudden chill, a stark demonstration of Rylax's extreme climatic shifts. "Didn't take long for this place to try and freeze us out after scorching us all day," muttered Corporal Rise, one of the team members. "Just the planet's way of saying welcome," Kara replied, her tone unwavering despite the shivers that rattled her frame. "Keep monitoring your suit's integrity. These temperature fluctuations are harsh on the SEALs." Night descended like a curtain, ushering in new perils. Predators, attracted by the warmth of their bodies and the electronic hum of their equipment, began to prowl the fringes of their makeshift camp. Kara took the first watch, her vigilance undiminished in the darkness, her rifle always within reach. Occasionally, her comm unit would buzz with observations from the Vrell observers, each remark colder than the desert night. Torin seemed especially intrigued by the humans' adaptation to the nocturnal cycle of Rylax, noting every tremor and every congregation for warmth. "Sergeant Jensen, your species' reliance on artificial heating is noteworthy. Does it not indicate an inherent vulnerability?" Torin's voice was both inquisitive and scornful. Kara's response was laced with palpable irritation. "Vulnerability? I call it preparedness, Overseer. A concept I'm certain you can appreciate, given your own species' dependence on technology." A pause followed, and for a moment, Kara thought she had quelled the Vrell. Then Tauren's cold laughter resumed, chilling as the night air. "We shall see, Sergeant. We shall see." As dawn broke, casting the desert in shades of orange and pink, Kara felt a renewed resolve stir within her. This challenge was more than a mere test of endurance. It was a contest for respect in a galaxy that viewed humans as little more than sturdy primitives. "We move out in 10, she announced, her voice devoid of the previous night's chill. "Stay alert, watch your step, and look out for each other. We're not just surviving this, we're going to conquer it." With the rising sun warming their backs, Kara and her team resumed their journey. As dawn painted the sky with streaks of crimson and gold, Sergeant Kara Jensen and her team approached the notorious toxic swamps of Rylax, the next stage in the Vrell's grueling endurance challenge. The swamps were a perilous miasma. Each step might plunge a foot into acid-soaked mud, and the air was thick with vapors that could sear the lungs. "Keep your respirators checked and stay on the marked path," Kara instructed, her gaze fixed on the bubbling quagmire ahead. "The gases here are corrosive, and I won't have anyone losing a limb to carelessness." The team advanced cautiously, their boots squelching in the mud. The swamp's stench was overwhelming, a putrid mix of decay and chemicals that even filtered air couldn't sweeten. As they delved deeper, Corporal Rise pointed towards a cluster of vibrant blue plants. "Those are Vrell markers, right? They're supposed to indicate safe zones." "That's correct," Kara confirmed, her voice muffled through her mask. "The Vrell set them up to guide competitors. But don't let your guard down. Safe is a relative term on Rylax." The physical challenges were daunting, but the psychological strain was just as intense. Each team member grappling with the constant threat of an agonizing demise. Their resilience was further tested when a sudden geyser of acidic water erupted near the path, spraying droplets that hissed upon contact with their protective suits. "Damn, that was close," Private Chen exclaimed, wiping his visor clean. "Stay alert. The swamps are treacherous," Kara's voice crackled through the comm, steady yet stern. "Remember, we're not just proving our endurance, we're showcasing human ingenuity under pressure." Navigating the swamp was arduous, each step a calculated risk. Periodically, Kara halted the march to check their equipment and allow brief rests. During one such pause, in a small, relatively safe clearing, near another blue plant marker, Overseer Tauren's voice cut through the stillness, tinged with a hint of genuine curiosity. "Sergeant Jensen, you persist in this folly. Tell me, does your species find pleasure in suffering?" "We find no pleasure in pain, Overseer," Kara replied, her fatigue momentarily breaking through her disciplined tone. "But we understand the value of pushing through it. Perhaps that's a concept too complex for a species that shuns discomfort." Silence filled the air, punctuated only by distant croaks of swamp creatures and the soft bubbling of acidic pools. Kara sensed Tauren's confusion, his failure to comprehend the human capacity to endure beyond logical extremes. As they resumed their trek, the swamp thickened, the air growing denser. Suddenly, Private Davies cried out, recoiling from a puddle that began to bubble ominously. Kara was by his side in an instant, pulling him back as the ground where he had stood dissolved into a pit of acid. "Watch every step," she reiterated, scanning the swamp with heightened vigilance. Hours turned to a full day, and the swamp's relentlessness persisted. Tauren's intermittent check-ins shifted from mocking to measured tones, as if he was gradually gaining respect for their tenacity. The real test came with nightfall. The toxic fog thickened, reducing visibility to mere feet. In these hours, Kara's leadership shone brightest, her voice a beacon in their ears, guiding them through the opaque mist. "Rely on your training," she urged. "Trust your gear and trust each other. We're more than halfway through." The night brimmed with danger. Twice more, team members narrowly escaped hidden acidic traps, saved by their mutual vigilance and Kara's unerring direction. As dawn returned, casting timid light over the landscape, the team emerged from the swamp, battered but unbroken. They were greeted by the sight of the final marker, a towering blue plant that stood sentinel at the swamp's edge. Kara allowed herself a slight smile as she addressed her team, her tone firm yet proud. This section is behind us. Rest now. Tomorrow, we face the fire mountains of Rylax. Behind them, the swamp lay silent, a testament to their passage, a record of human determination and spirit that even the Vrell could not dismiss. As they set up camp on firmer ground, Kara looked back towards the swamp, her mind on the challenges ahead. "We'll show them," she whispered to herself. "We'll show them all what it means to be human." In the quiet of the breaking day, her words seemed to resonate, a promise not only to her team, but to the entire galaxy watching. The first light of dawn crested over the rugged peaks of Rylax's fire mountains, casting elongated shadows across the rocky terrain. The air was thick with sulphurous fumes, and the ground underfoot was a patchwork of cooled lava flows and ash. Sergeant Kara Jensen stood at the base of the mountains, scanning the path ahead. "All right, team, this is the last stretch," Kara said, ensuring the integrity of her heat-resistant gear. "These mountains are not just a physical barrier, they're a test of our will. Let's demonstrate to the Vrell what we're truly made of." Her team nodded, their expressions etched with determination, their bodies weary yet resolute from the trials already endured. They had conquered the toxic swamps of Rylax. Now, the fire mountains were merely the final hurdle. As they commenced their ascent, the ground warmed beneath them, a constant reminder of the volcanic activity that characterized the region. Every few meters, steam vents hissed, expelling jets of scalding vapor, while small earthquakes trembled under their feet. Kara maintained a steady pace, establishing waypoints for the team to regroup and ensure that no one was left behind. Their route meandered through ancient lava tubes and across jagged fields of obsidian, each step demanding utmost focus and balance. "Keep an eye on the thermal gauges," Kara instructed via the comm. "If your suit gives an alert, move to cooler ground immediately." This challenge was unique. Here, the environment itself was an active adversary, continually shifting under the influence of the planet's geothermal forces. Midway up the mountain, a sudden tremor caused a cascade of sharp rocks to tumble towards the team. "Watch out!" Kara's voice boomed, echoing off the stone. The team pressed against the mountainside, narrowly dodging the rockslide. Dust and small pebbles rained down on their helmets. After catching their breath and ensuring everyone was unharmed, they continued their ascent. Private Davies, the youngest team member, looked to Kara, his eyes reflecting a mix of awe and fear. "How do you keep going, Sergeant, when every step could be your last?" Kara met his gaze, her face a mask of resolve softened by empathy. "Because we must, Davies. All of us must. Our families, our friends, our entire world, they're watching. We carry more than just our lives. We bear their hopes." Reinvigorated by her words, the team resumed their climb, each movement measured and careful. As they approached the summit, the heat intensified, becoming almost tangible against their suits. Then, Overseer Torin's voice emerged through the comm, not with mockery, but with what sounded like respect. "Sergeant Jensen, you and your team are proving extraordinary. I did not foresee such tenacity." Kara paused, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Perhaps, Overseer, there is more for you to learn about us. Humans are full of surprises." The final stretch to the summit was the most arduous. The slope steepened, and swirling volcanic gases clouded their vision, making each breath a laborious effort, even through the filters. The team relied on each other for support, their unity starkly contrasting the solitary figure of Overseer Torin, who observed from his hovering craft. This challenge had transcended physical endurance. it had become a profound demonstration of human solidarity in adversity. Upon reaching the summit, the panoramic view took their breath away. Below lay the expanse of Rylax, its daunting landscapes a series of trials they had surmounted. Above, the sky formed a clear, pristine dome, silently acknowledging their achievement. Kara faced her team, her voice unwavering despite evident exhaustion. "We did it not as individuals, but together. This is our true strength. This is what the Vrell could never comprehend." Around Kara, the team congregated, their faces flushed from the heat and exertion, their eyes shining with the triumph of victory. They had endured the worst Rylax could offer and emerged not just intact, but fortified. As they prepared for their descent, Kara's communicator buzzed once more. It was Torin, his tone now contemplative. "Sergeant Jensen, your achievement is illuminating. Perhaps there is something to be said for perseverance after all." Kara smiled subtly, her gaze sweeping the rugged landscape. "Perhaps, Overseer, or perhaps it's simply what it means to be human." Standing at the summit, Sergeant Kara Jensen and her team watched as the sun dipped below Rylax's horizon, painting the sky in vibrant hues of fiery orange and deep purple. The residual heat from the fire mountains lingered, a warm testament to the trials they had endured. "We did it," Kara murmured softly, her voice barely audible above the whistle of the evening wind. The significance of their accomplishment settled over the team as they shared a moment of quiet triumph. Private Davies approached Kara, his expression contemplative. "Sergeant, do you think the Vrell will see us differently now?" Kara turned to him, her eyes alight with the fading light of day. "Perhaps, Davies, but more importantly, we've shown the galaxy that humans aren't merely survivors. We are formidable contenders." As they commenced their descent, the communicator crackled to life. It was Overseer Torin, his tone now devoid of its usual condescension. "Sergeant Jensen, your performance has been enlightening. The Vrell Council extends its commendations. Your resilience is duly noted." Kara nodded, her response gracious. "Thank you, Overseer. We hope this opens new avenues for dialogue and cooperation." Back on Earth, the news of their unforeseen victory spread like wildfire. Galactic networks buzzed with the story of the human team that transformed a trial of endurance into a showcase of determination and unity. Kara and her team were celebrated not just for their physical prowess, but for their unyielding spirit. In the aftermath, as Kara debriefed with Earth Command, a profound sense of pride welled within her. They had confronted the galaxy's skepticism and not only persevered, but excelled, shifting perceptions with each grueling step. "Sergeant Jensen, what's next for you?" a young reporter asked during an interview. Kara smiled, her expression resolute. "Whatever the challenge, we'll be ready. We're just getting started." Her words echoed a promise, a commitment to facing any future challenges with the same unbreakable resolve that had carried them through the trials on Rylax. They were not just participants in the galaxy's games, they were pioneers, setting a new standard for what humanity could achieve.